In this episode of Big Dog Tactical, I'm going to be talking about what I think you should do when responding to an active shooter. Let's go. Welcome back to Big Dog Tactical. This is a show that talks about different topics from firearms to self-defense, having a big dog warrior mindset, tactical equipment, mentoring, personal growth, and so much more. The mission of this channel is to inspire thought that reaches past the stereotypes that plague American society. And with each episode, I'm trying to ignite a passion for understanding, questioning, learning, and making informed decisions. Now, I promote gun ownership and spreading community knowledge to collectively increase and promote gun safety. However, I specifically target the minority community, although I welcome input from all walks of life. Now, I know you wasn't expecting me to talk about active shooting, but hey, here we are. So, what the hell is an active shooter? You know what I'm saying? An active shooter is an individual that is actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but man, you see the news? We hear about all these types of horror stories, and I want you to understand that in this type of emergency situation, it's difficult to think. And unless you practice and rehearse it in your mind, your reaction in this type of crisis will not be good. Now, I strongly feel that to stay tactical, then you have to understand that the successful prevention of an active shooter involves a lot of issues. And those issues I don't plan on talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? But just understand that it's a lot, and stopping an active shooter involves a wide range of public and private entities all working together. And so when I tell you that it's like a coordinated effort, you probably can't imagine all the energy that goes into these types of situations. You have one operation that provides operational efforts and another one that does behavior-based threat assessments. You have one entity performing threat management. You have to try to help and mitigate all the risks. That's what these entities do. They help detect and prevent acts of violence. You have entities working from mental health services. You got community leaders trying to coordinate. Man, I'm telling you, it's just a lot of people. And I didn't even mention all the people that have to work together to recognize and disrupt the active shooter. You know what I'm saying? Now, I won't get into the underlying causes or the underlying cause, but I will say that I think it's society's job as a whole to make assessments and help people before they are on a trajectory toward violence. And I think that takes doing research to identify indicators that could signal potential violence and not stereotypes and racism that plague the society that I live in, because I live in America. Well, I'm not going to jump on a soapbox and talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk about responding to an active shooter. Now, as always, let me try to give a disclaimer, because people are crazy nowadays. Look, I'm not a part of some type of certified active trainer response team, but I've had to respond to emergencies, and a couple of those emergencies were dealing with an active shooter. You know what I'm saying? Now listen, this is more than 10 years ago, so I'm sure training has been updated, but I'm just letting you know that I have personally experienced some horrible situations, and I see how people panic and just they can't think because they have fear embedded into their mind. You know what I'm saying? I also got to let you know that my thoughts and recommendations are common sense in nature and may not fit every instance or circumstance that you may face. However, I do think that if you follow these simple, basic recommendations, your chances of survival may increase. So let's talk about it, family. You feel me? I'm saying, big dog, thank you for rocking with me. I gotta let you know to like, comment, and subscribe. And listen, even if you hate the video, say why you hate the video. You got what I'm saying? I'm just saying, man, get it together. Look, if you get the notice that there's an active shooter, then the first thing that you have to adjust is your mind. That's right. Coping with an active shooter situation is not difficult, but you have to remain calm and you have to think. So this is what I want you to do. Be aware of your environment and all the possible dangers in that environment. Now, what I often tell my family members, as a rule of thumb, I want you to take note of at least the 2 nearest exits in any facility as soon as you walk into that facility. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, if there's a kinetic situation, let's say you're in an office, you got to stay there and lock the door. Now, if the door does not have a lock, then you have to secure the door. Securing the door means you have to put objects in front of the door to prevent that shooter from entering that door. You know what I'm saying? I want you to remember that you should only attempt to take on an active shooter or try to take that active shooter down as a last resort. So if all else fails, then guess what? You have to fight. So I want you to think evade, conceal, and fight. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I was researching the characteristics of an active shooter situation, the research supports that victims are usually selected at random. And I want you to know that these types of events are massively unpredictable and things change. Just like in life, they change so quickly. And you need to understand that law enforcement, they're usually trained to kill an active shooter. They're not trained to injure an active shooter in hopes that that active shooter is going to stand trial or go through the criminal justice system. You know what I'm saying? So remember, on Big Dog Tactical, we support staying ready so that you don't have to get ready. So remember ECF when responding to an active shooter. You're like, what? ECF? That's right. ECF is an acronym that stands for evade, conceal, and fight. Now, when I say evade, I mean having an escape route or a plan in your mind. You feel me? So listen, you have to leave your belongings behind and escape immediately if there's an active shooter in your vicinity. You feel what I'm saying? But remember, if you're escaping, you have to keep your hands visible, because if you encounter an emergency responder, then most of the time that responder is going to be law enforcement or something of that nature, maybe FBI, one of them alphabet boys, and that responder does not know if you are the good person or if you're the bad person. So you have to have your hands clearly visible. So I'm going to keep emphasizing, in these types of horrible situations, you have to be thinking. You can't get emotional and let panic take over. And trust me, I have seen too many times when fear's in your mind, you start letting panic take over and you can't think logically. So you have to think, you have to be calm, rational, and you have to think. Okay, let's move on to conceal. This basically means that you are hiding in an area out of the shooter's view. You should always block the entrance to your hiding place and lock the doors. Now, if you can't lock the doors, then you have to put objects in front of the door. I also want you to crouch down. Don't lay flat on the ground. You ever see in movies where people start laying on the ground when they start hearing shots? Look, worst case scenario, if bullets are flying everywhere, then bullets, they have a tendency to follow flat surfaces. So you need to crouch down because you want to be able to use your eyes, because you may have to run to a different area. You know what I'm saying? And stay at least 12 inches away from the wall, because if bullets are flying, then they can possibly penetrate a wall. Now, I know you probably will have your device, you know what I'm saying? But look, man, have your device on silence. Now, I know you want to text and you want to call, but you have to make good decisions in emergency situations. Now, I'm not saying don't talk on the phone, but keep that ringer off. Now, the last part is difficult, but as a last resort, you may have to take action and fight for your life, especially in an active shooter situation, because more than likely your life is going to be in imminent danger. And if you have to take that step, then you got to have the mindset, I'm going to incapacitate this shooter. Now, if you don't have a weapon on you, then you're going to have to act with physical aggression and at least throw items at the active shooter. You know, I know that sounds crazy, but what you're trying to do by throwing items is that you're trying to throw the aim of that shooter off. You know, use the weapons that you have available. Now, I have the mentality that if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I think you should have a weapon on you, but you may be in a situation where you don't. You know what I'm saying? You just may not have a weapon available, you know, like a gun, but use the weapons that are available. But just know that you have to try to survive. You have to survive. Do you understand? Now, I understand that an active shooter situation is very important, and it's difficult to remember all the things that I spoke about. But like I said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So prepare your mind for these types of situations. Now, you may have to rehearse in your mind for these bad situations, because I'm telling you, it's going to be the time that you don't expect things to happen when they happen. That's just how it is. Stay safe out here for real, man. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Big Dog Tactical. And listen, I want you to share it with your team. It's been Big Dog Tactical. And listen, I got to let you know that this channel right here is for big dogs only. If you want real dialogue and topics that affect the 2A community and the community that loves firearms, then I invite you to become a part of the family. So feel free to subscribe. If you hate the channel, I still invite you to subscribe, because I would love to hear your feedback, because I'm open to constructive criticism, because you never know, you can help me improve the channel. So feel free to reach out to me. You feel me? This has been Big Dog Tactical. And if you want big dog status forever, then try to support our movement by visiting BigDogTactical.com, reminding you to get your weight up and stay tactical, big dog. Peace.